Hi everyone, and welcome to the third and the final in our Credit Union Survive and Thrive webinar series. It's been great to have everybody along with us for the last 3 weeks, and the numbers have been steadily growing week after week, which is fantastic, and we've had really great interaction. So thanks to everybody for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed today as much as the other two. My name is Siobhan Kalpin. I'm the Group Marketing Manager here at Intuity Technologies. For those of you who aren't clients or who aren't familiar with Intuity, we are a managed IT company and a managed print solutions provider here in Ireland. We work with SMEs across Ireland and the UK, and we do a lot of work on IT and data security solutions, particularly with SMEs in that region. We have a 40-year history working with credit unions all across the island of Ireland. So we know the sector pretty well. We've spent a lot of time working really closely to identify key needs of credit unions, and we have a lot of experience in the technology around that. And I suppose that's been the focus of these 3 webinars, and also the focus of a number of webinars that we ran before that, which were focusing on things like leveraging the technology that you already have in your credit union to the best of your ability, improving your employee communications using the technology that you have, and also a lot of work on security. And I suppose that brings us back to today. Our first session was all about improved communications. It was working with your team, with your board, and with your members. Last week's session ran and focused on digital transformation and how important online member engagement is, even more now that we're living in this very strange world that we're finding ourselves. And today, to round it off, what we wanted to do was offer that up to your members so that you can invite your members along and avail of some of our security awareness expertise. And the training today is really about, preparing businesses for survival in terms of post-COVID-19 and what you need to be watching out for and what your team need to be aware of in terms of your security, working from home, and some security, some cyber security insights as well. So just a wee bit of housekeeping before I go any further. This event will be recorded. It's a Microsoft Teams live event, so therefore it will be recorded, so I can get you copies of it for your team if you want to share it afterwards. You can drop me a line on marketing@intuity.ie and I'll get that to you straight away. We'll have a question and answer session at the end. There's a little box up on the right hand side there with a question mark in it. If you just click on that, you can type in any questions that you might have for our presenter, and I'll feed them to her at the end of the session. And equally, if there's anything that comes up in the middle of the session, just keep tapping away there. I'll feed them through at the very end. The last thing I need to do now is introduce our speaker today, and I'm delighted to introduce Marsha Malley. Marsha is one of our lead trainers here at Intuity Technologies, and she's a big hit with all of our clients, and you'll probably see why after 5 minutes into the session today. She has a lot of experience working with credit unions in particular. She's been with us here at Intuity since 2015, and she's been training credit unions specifically since 2016, so she has a lot of experience in this area, and because of that, last year she was nominated for the iTag Digital Woman of the Year Awards, which we're very proud of. So I'm delighted to introduce you to Marsha, and I hope you enjoy the session. I'll see you at the end.
Hi everyone, I'm just going to check and make sure that I have everything working. My microphone is not on mute and you can all see me here. So I am reaching out to you from my kitchen here in Galway. And today's session is going to be fun and fast, and we're going to go through 13 very practical things that you can do to improve your cybersecurity. Of course, today's session is mainly focused on members, but it can really be used by anyone in your team, your board, in the credit union space. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so what we're going to go through today in about 35 minutes are 13 things you can do to improve your cybersecurity. So obviously reviewing today's training, locking your phone, updating everything, thinking twice before you share, identifying phishing, installing antivirus, setting up password managers, turning on multi-factor authentication, changing your router passwords, setting up a VPN for work, monitoring your personal data online, and securing your office from your family, and of course, continuous awareness. Might seem like a lot, but a lot of these steps are very simple, and they're something that any of you and your members can take straight away. So I've kind of broken them down into very easy to achieve, something that might take a little bit more effort, maybe might take you a week to get everything organized, and then of course things that you need to review forever, unfortunately. So just getting started. Here we go. Sorry, there's a little delay there. This is really for everyone, regardless, if your member is working from home with a young family, or maybe you have a board member signing in, or a young person who's just, living at home right now with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and, using the credit union online app. All of these tools will be helpful for everyone, and of course for staff and credit union managers and board members as well. So many of us have gotten pretty comfortable online. Of course, we've all been using the internet for years. We have our email addresses, our credit union applications, and different websites that we use for shopping, like Amazon or Facebook for social media. And of course, we're super comfortable with all of our work and connections from home as well the last few months. So I just want to make sure that we have protected ourselves. So a lot of the times, your personal data can be taken on the internet when you don't even realize it. So that's why we build this awareness, so that we can just do a few small things to protect ourselves. I don't want anyone to be panicked after this session, or be nervous, or have any kind of fear. These are just small actionable steps. I like to think of it, it's kind of like when you get in your car, you put the seatbelt on every day. You're not super nervous about getting in an accident, but you just do that small safety measure on a regular basis anyway. So that's kind of what these fine-tuning steps are. So what do we need to protect? Well, if you're an individual, especially a credit union member, you need to protect your finances and your money. So that means your credit union app login details, all of your statements. You want to make sure that your debit or credit card details are protected. You don't want your bank account information out there either. What about your investments that you might have? Stocks, bonds, investments, retirement funds you might be accessing online as well, mortgage information, insurance policies, and that of course can extend to health insurance information, life insurance policies. Sure, even a pet policy has your personal information on it. Then we have your company's finances as well. So if you're a credit union member and you're working for a business, regardless of if that, whatever business that might be, whether you're working for SuperValu or you're working for Bank of Ireland, or any kind of organization, or a local hair salon, it is important that when you are signing into your company's network or your customer's booking platform, that you're keeping that secure when you're checking in from home as well. So you also have your personal data. So that would be your identification, your passports, your driver's license, your PPS number, any photos that you have on the internet of yourself, health records. You have your phone number, your email address, your home address, and of course, we always have our children's or our family's data. So that's something that I think is definitely, something to review, especially for, if you are taking care of family members, making sure that they're not oversharing. Not all of our family members, especially those who haven't had a lot of life experience, or maybe people who aren't super exposed to social media, they might not realize that they're sharing way too much information about themselves, and potentially opening themselves up for fraud, or for, like, that advertisement you always see on TV, the couple that goes away on their holidays and they tell everyone, and then the burglar knows that they're not there. So that's the kind of thing we're trying to avoid, right? So I just want to show you something kind of fun. If anyone has been in my previous training sessions, I have not shared this before, so I saved it for this. It's something new. So I've been doing a little bit of research on the dark web, right? And to see what kind of personal data is out there and how much it might cost, just to give you an idea of, what your information might be worth. So you can see here, just by going on the dark web and searching, someone can actually buy, passports with Bitcoin, and they can actually get, you can see here, there's a driver's license as well. So there's a lot of really sensitive information on these documents, and you would think that they're quite expensive. So I just thought, for fun, I would ask everybody with the Q&A, how much do you think a photo of an Irish passport might sell for on the internet? Now, the price I have is in US dollars, so maybe just give it a go. So I don't know if you think it's, 1 cent or $100 million, but maybe just, put in a comment in the Q&A. Siobhan, do we have any answers?
Well, I'll make a guess.
Okay.
Could I have no idea. I would have thought a couple of €100.
Okay, a couple of €100. Great. Let's see. Any other guesses?
Someone here saying €50.
Okay, €50. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and unveil the answer. So the answer is, unfortunately, it's only $7.27. So that would be, your name, your country of origin, obviously Ireland, your passport number, your date of birth, and probably county where you grew up as well. So that information could be used to create a bank account or credit card information, or take out to buy things on the internet. So there are a lot of things that could be used for in an ingenuous way. So it's kind of amazing how low the cost is actually. So you can see here, personal data is quite cheap to buy. You can see that people can share, account numbers, expiration dates, CVV numbers on credit card details and things like that. And we definitely want to keep our credit union details, our BICs and IBANs for our credit union accounts secure, and our login details as well for our online banking apps. So there is a cool thing I'll share with you guys called Fulls. And that is actually when you have a full list of someone's information. So their first name, last name, current address, previous address, city, you could say county, area code, mobile number, work phone number, their PPS number, date of birth, and a credit card number and mother's maiden name, which of course is usually used in passports, actually only costs €26. So there's definitely a market out there for people's personal information. So how do we stop our information from being shared on the internet? Well, here are the 13 things that we can do. So of course, the first thing is attending today's cybersecurity training and becoming aware. Fantastic first step. If you're not aware, you can't even make any corrections. So, okay, the next step is to lock your phone. So I hope that everyone who is watching this has a biometric lock or a passcode or one of those shape things that uses your finger on your phone. I know it's tempting to leave the phone unlocked and let kids play with the phone or chew the phone or entertain themselves. But it's really important if you have work emails or even your personal email. Like my personal email has health insurance information. It has my passport copy when I travel. It has, details that I've sent to various financial institutions. So I think it's really important that I need to keep that secure. So I definitely recommend that today, if you do not have a lock on your phone, a passcode or a fingerprint or something or face recognition, that you set that up today. It doesn't take that much time. And you can definitely share the internet with your family members in a different way than using phone. So the next step that you can do is always update everything. And again, this is really, really easy. Like most of our devices are prompting us all the time to do system upgrades, whether you're using an iPhone or Windows 10 computer or an Android phone or an iPad. They're always prompting you to do the latest update. And it's really easy to say, oh, do you know what? I'm so busy. I don't have time for this. Or, oh, I have to be at my home Wi-Fi. Or, I'm just going to skip that. Well, first of all, anyone who works with us who uses Windows computers will know that if you ignore your Windows updates for, 100 days, one day it's just going to go. And it might not be the most convenient time. But the real reason why you need to do your updates is because these are, the cyber criminals are always 10 steps ahead, right? So the ransomware and malware that they're designing is cutting edge. And these companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, they are always going to be a step behind. But when they send out the updates, that is the closest that they can get you to protection. So if you don't use that update for 3 months, you are exposed for 3 whole months to that virus or whatever's going around the internet. So it's totally free when you buy the device. You just need to make sure that you have enough capacity to update. If you find that your phone is 7 years old, you can't update it anymore, there's not enough space, might be time to think about getting a new phone. I know they're a little bit less expensive these days, but so I would definitely think about making sure you keep your technology up to date. Again, it doesn't always have to be the most expensive technology, but up to date is definitely important. And you don't really have to think about it if it automatically updates. So the next step really is to think twice before posting. And I know right now during the quarantine, my Facebook page, my newsfeed is so full of really fun things and a lovely interaction with people. I'm interacting with friends and family back in the States. I'm interacting with all my friends here in Galway in the musical societies. I'm interacting with, everyone that I know online, which is fantastic. And it really helps me stay connected while we're doing our social distancing and our self-isolation. But this is a really funny little thing I saw from a police department. You know, you get these quizzes online. They ask you, where did you grow up? What's your favorite color? What's your pet's name? Street you grew up on? You know, favorite child's name, sports team, high school mascot, favorite food, first car, mom's name before she, you know, was married, maiden name, first job, favorite band, favorite food. And guess what, guys? These are all of your security questions that you put into various websites when you're creating your passwords. So like some of these quizzes aren't as genuine as you think they might be. And it's really important that you're not sharing this. You know, other people can take advantage of you. So if you're going to do a quiz, you know, like, be mindful, like, what website is this on? Who are you sharing this information with? And what is the real intent behind sharing this? Now, your friend who posted it might not realize, but if you have your profile set to public, you're actually sharing this with the whole world, right? So it's just something to look at, okay? Identifying phishing. This is really big. So we spend a lot of time here at Intuiti, you know, training our staff and training our customers to not engage with phishers, of scammers and spammers, right? Because this is probably the most significant way that a company or like a credit union could be affected. You know, it's a very common way for someone to get ransomware, different types of malware into their network, and we don't want that to happen. As well, you know, on a personal level, if I open a phish on my home computer and get ransomware, I might lose all of my precious family photos. And, you know, if I was doing a course, I might lose all my schoolwork. So it's really important, you know, of course, that you have a backup. But if you can train yourself and your family not to click on phishing emails, you know, you're really reducing your risk. So email phishing here, this is a really good one. This has come out recently. It's just a fake Zoom meeting. So I know a lot of people are meeting on Zoom. You know, we don't recommend it really for business at the moment, but on a personal level, I know a lot of people are using it. So you can see here, this is not really coming from zoom.com. It's coming from this dodgy email address. And it's saying your CEO has invited you to a Zoom meeting, and then it has a link as well. And you can see that the link isn't even, you know, going to go to the Zoom website. So this is the kind of thing you need to look out for. I always recommend double checking the email address, double checking the subject line. It's probably going to be really catchy, like you've won the lotto. Okay, that hasn't come from Irish Lotto. Or it's going to be, you know, from, you know, something about, a lot of the phishes that have been going out lately are about the coronavirus. So they're about, you know, something from the CDC or something from the EDC or something from the World Health Organization or something from Irish Revenue. So again, just being aware, you know, why am I getting this message? Does it make sense? Don't just click on something because, you know, you're reacting. And I don't know about you, but when I'm on my phone, it's really hard for me to see the full email address. So I have a more of a higher tendency to click. So I would just recommend, you know, you double check, make sure your spam filters are on your personal email and stuff like that. So if phishing doesn't just come in through email, we also have, you know, WhatsApp phishing. So these ones came out recently here in Ireland. We have, you know, this fake Lidl are celebrating their 100th store in Ireland by giving away free coupons. Go through the link and claim yours before it's too late. So again, when you click on this link, it's going to ask you for your personal details, or it's going to put a little nasty piece of malware like a Trojan onto your phone, which is something you don't want. And then you have here, you know, fake Argus. Argus is giving away €500 voucher. So, you know, if you have done nothing and someone sends you a WhatsApp link for a voucher and you've done nothing to earn this voucher, I would be really suspicious. Now, you might be kind of unlucky if you actually bought something at Argus yesterday and then you get this text. But like, why would Argus be sending you a message on WhatsApp? Usually you get the reservation number from their phone number on the phone, you know? So anything like this that comes from your friends, it's probably, you know, they mean well, but they just don't realize this is complete, you know, unfortunately, this is spam. Like this isn't going to result in a voucher. So then I have this other one here, which I think is important to show. Like, this is not including a link. This is just pretty much, you know, fake news telling someone that they can cure coronavirus with the boiled garlic water. Goodness, if that was the case, I don't think we'd still be at home. So again, if this kind of stuff comes into your WhatsApp, you know, just think twice. Don't be the person to send it on, and just delete it. And you might tell someone who sends you on the Argos voucher, you know, I don't think that's genuine, maybe don't send it on, because if you click on it, it's probably going to go to all your contacts, and that's just not very nice for them either. So I just want to bring your attention as well. I got these articles from irishmirror.ie. You know, these are just some of the other scams and phishes that are going around at the moment. So OnPost was there was a fake text message going through SMS that was pretending to be OnPost. You know, someone got a fake notification from Revolut. And just in general, you know, the Garda Commissioner has been speaking publicly about the, you know, coronavirus specific phishes and targeting that's been going on out there on the internet, because people are lonely and they're a little bit more willing to click. Unfortunately, a lot of it is romance scams, things like that. So moving on, right? Here's a few things that are a little bit more effort to achieve, but definitely worthwhile. So you could probably take care of all these in about a week. So the first thing is to install antivirus. So definitely look at your home computer and figure out, do you have any antivirus? Now, it's probably better to buy a version of antivirus, but we use Bitdefender here in our office and with our clients, and they actually have a free version, you know, online. So if you wanted to start there, that could be a good place to start. But of course, the product doesn't really matter. It's just having antivirus is important. Making sure you're picking the right quality for your family. If you have a lot of kids and lots of devices, you can get a nice little plan that covers everything. If you have any smart home items like smart locks, or I have a smart vacuum, whatever that might be, you know, you might think about getting something specific to cover you for that. But just any antivirus in general is good, because if you don't have antivirus, you're really on the back foot there, okay? So then I would recommend, right, setting up a password manager. Now, again, the exact product, you know, does not really matter on a personal level. Here in the company, we use one called MyKey. We can set this up for any business, but just to give you an idea of how this works, there's lots of different password managers out there. If you did a Google search today for the best password manager in 2020, that's free online, you will find lots of really good quality options. So this is kind of how it looks. You'll have your password stored. You know, here you can see that's selected on the left. You have the password here. You can see to have a password for Airbnb, for Twitter, for LinkedIn, for PayPal, for Skype. You can have secure notes, personal information, your credit card details in here. And, you know, you can find out your identity, like how it's doing online, and your password health. You can also share passwords with different family members, and you can have an emergency access if something were to happen to you. Why is this important? How does the password manager work? Well, the reality is that, you know, if you are like many of my let's say, people that I train on a regular basis, when I first come into the office, you know, usually people have passwords in a notebook, in the back of a notebook, or on some Post-its, or in a little area called notes on their phone, and they think that they're great. And the problem with that is that someone gets that notebook, they have access to all their details. And if someone gets access to their phone, you know, they have access to all the passwords in plain text. So the first thing that a password manager does is it encrypts your password. Okay, so it's not in plain text. It can't be easily read unless it's unencrypted by your master password or your PIN. So you only have one password to remember, which is fantastic. That's the next point of why I think they're so great. Like, people just can't remember 70 passwords. So what's going to happen is you start to reuse your passwords like I did, and it's really normal. So you start using the same one for your credit union app as you might use for Facebook, and then you might use the same one for your Gmail, and then you might use it for your work email address, and then you might have a different one that you use for your bank account, then you use that one for, you know, Twitter, and then you use that one for LinkedIn. So you might have 6 different passwords, but the problem is that, let's say, you know, LinkedIn had a breach a few years ago. Let's say they had another breach. That password that you're using is out there on the internet next to your email address. And now it's allowing someone to try and log into your credit union app, you know? So in order to protect your finances, you know, it's really important that you have a different password for each site. Now, as human beings, when we design passwords, we often pick things that we can remember, like, you know, our favorite color, our kids' names, our favorite pet, whatever that might be, right? But unfortunately, if someone goes on Facebook and looks us up, they're going to see, oh, well, you know, Marcia has 2 kids, Bobby and Susie. I wonder if her password is Susie 1995 or whatever it might be, right? So when you use a password manager, they actually give you a totally unique and random password for each website. Okay, so when I sign into Facebook, I actually don't know what my Facebook password is. I just use my password manager. I use my fingerprint to log into it, and it signs me in. So if Facebook is compromised, my other accounts aren't compromised as well. So this is really, really good. You can share passwords with family. So again, you know, if you both need to log into a certain website, you can share it with someone instead of writing it down. And you can also do that emergency access, which I think is really good. And I might touch on this a little bit later, but they do security checks. So security checks mean that if there is a breach, like on LinkedIn, it'll actually notify you and say, guess what? There was a breach on LinkedIn. Your random password was lost. We recommend you change it. And some of them actually change it for you. So there are a lot of free services, then there's ones that you can pay a little bit more for, but this is really common. Is it perfect? No, but it's much, much better than our current kind of Post-it note, phone notes, and back a diary, repeating password situation, okay? So you can also store your credit card details as well, which instead of me saving my credit card details on Littlewoods and then saving them on let's say, Argus, and then saving them on something else, like Electric Picnic's website or something, Ticketmaster. Well, let's say Ticketmaster has a breach. Well, now someone has my credit card details, and I don't know how Ticketmaster is, saving that information. So if I put it in the password manager, I know it's encrypted, and I can just use that to pre-fill in all the websites without having to keep my card on me. So that's good as well. So one thing that goes alongside the password manager is multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is something you're probably already familiar with at your credit union. If you use online banking, when you sign into your account, you get a text message to confirm that it's you, or you have to put in a password and a PIN, or your date of birth and a PIN. So multi-factor authentication will basically check to make sure you are who you say you are, by sending a text or asking you information that you know about yourself, or a password or something like that. So it's really, really helpful. You can set this up for your password manager, but you can also use it in work situations, and especially with people working from home. This just prevents, family members from signing onto work laptops, things like that. So you're probably already using it for your credit union app without even doing anything. But other finance apps and websites, make sure that it's set up for them. Your email. So if you use Gmail, you can set up multi-factor authentication for Gmail. Just make sure that you do have your correct backup information. Goodness, just in case you lose your phone, you don't want to be locked out of your email account. Anything that contains a lot of important information, like a password manager, or your work accounts as well. So you're just, you're just going to have that extra step to stop anyone who, you don't want to be logged into your work account on your work computer, let alone your personal computer all the time. Really not good. So again, this is something I suppose credit union staff can use, and any of the members can use it in their local businesses as well. So the final thing would be social media. Again, depending on how much you post on social media and what kind of information is sensitive, I would recommend looking at that as well. But for a normal website that you use, of course, you don't need to use multi-factor authentication for everything, okay? But just for these kind of key areas, this is a really nice thing you can turn on and set up. So the next thing I want to talk about is changing your default router password. This is a little bit difficult, right? So I can't tell you because I don't know who your supplier is at home. Are you using Sky? Are you using Air? Are you using Vodafone? I don't know exactly what kind of router you have, and again, this might not be, achievable for everybody on this call, but definitely have a look and see, can you follow the instructions on your supplier's website to change your default router password? Most of the admin passwords are admin on a router. The username is admin and the password is admin, which means anybody could just sign into your router and change information. Then you have the name that shows up when people try to sign into your Wi-Fi account, and then the password there. You should be able to change that as well. Some people put really funny names on their Wi-Fi, like, hacker lives here or something. And you know what? Nobody ever steals their Wi-Fi. So just be mindful, if you have your Wi-Fi password in plain view of a window, then you might have neighbors or something that are using it. And again, this might not be a malicious intent, but if they get a virus and you're working from home, you are now taking on their basic internet insecurity into your home network. So I think it's important that, also just to keep the speeds good and stuff, that only your family is using the router and the Wi-Fi in the house. So definitely look at that. Next is using a VPN for work. So a VPN is a virtual private network. We won't go through all the details today. Some of you are probably familiar with them, especially the credit union staff would all be working off VPNs if they're working from home. But it's really important to use a virtual private network if you're working on anything confidential as a credit union member for your company. So if your company has a VPN and, when you sign into that, basically it's kind of like it insulates your connection. So it's separate from your home network then, okay? So if you have kids playing Call of Duty and doing God knows what on their Xbox in the next room, if you're using your VPN for work, even if your teenager gets a little bit of malware on the home network, it doesn't affect your work. It doesn't affect the confidential data that you're dealing with. So, you know, that's definitely something that if your company offers a VPN, definitely use it. Sometimes it requires you to take action to use it. You can probably just check your email, you know, without using it, just by using a browser. So definitely turn it on. If your business, you know, doesn't have a VPN and you do work with sensitive information, you can contact us and we can help you with that as well, and things like that. But it's definitely something to look into, you know. And some people use VPNs for when they browse the internet when they're on free public Wi-Fi, especially if they travel a lot. So that's the way a lot of personal users use it. That's not super relevant for today because we aren't traveling at the moment. But if you wanted to look into it, you can. I use it sometimes to browse as if I'm from the States if I need to get something done in the US. So sometimes it can be helpful. So the next things that we're going to look at, the last three, are things that you need to work on every day. You know, they're probably the most challenging, but they're also fairly achievable. It's just something that, you know, you're never going to tick the box and say you're fully secure. It's something that you do need to review on an ongoing basis. So the first of these, number 3, is to search for yourself, right? So I recommend that everybody today or next week goes onto Google and searches for their name and see what comes up. Because you might not realize that your social media profiles are public, and you might not realize all the things that you have shared are available for the world to see. You also might find that the type of things that you're proud of aren't the things that are coming up first. So if you were in the local paper for doing a community organization type work that you're really proud of, you know, you want those images to appear first. You don't want, you know, random pictures, you know, someone took of you coming up first. So definitely do a search for your name, do a search for your email address, look and see if any common username that you use is like available on the internet. Now, you can't really search for the lists on the dark web of people's personal information, but if you had one of those password managers, you know, you would be able to do that through their services. They actually search, you know, the dark web for your details, some of them, and they'll let you know if they find anything. So a lot of them have services as well to clean up your identity online. But for the most part, you can search yourself on Google, see if there's anything you don't like. And if you don't like anything, you can follow Google's procedures to take things down. So I recommend you do this as well for your kids, for your parents, just to make sure that you're protecting everyone in your family. You know, just because something happens online and it's not technically real life, it can have real life impacts. And you see that all the time with like bullying in school. These days that takes place online, you know, has real impacts on the students that it affects. So definitely something to look at, especially if you're looking for a new role, a new job. You know, it could be that your employer will search for you and maybe you don't want your Facebook profile to come up first, you know. Okay, so I also just want to talk about securing your office from your family. And I say office in quotes because if you're like me, you are at the kitchen table, okay? Not everyone has a dedicated home office. So these are really ideal, you know, idealist steps that you can take. I know this is not the reality for everybody, but if we give it a try, you know, we will make small improvements. So keep your work stuff put away, if not locked. Just think about that. You know, when you're done with work for the week or you're done with work for the day, you know, putting everything into a bag, into a backpack, into a drawer so that people cannot see it. It's out of sight, out of mind, right? You don't want people using your work notebooks to doodle on, things like that. If you can get a locking filing cabinet or cabinet of some kind, you know, it doesn't have to be super expensive. That could be great if you think you're going to work from home for a while. Your finance stuff should also be put away, and that's kind of just normal anyway, but just think about that. You know, you don't want all this stuff like your PIN number for your online banking app. You don't want that just out on the table. You definitely want to have things put away if not locked, okay? Don't give children work devices to play on. As tempting as it is, you know, buy them a cheap tablet off Amazon or from Argos. Try not to give, you know, children work phones, work laptops, because they might be playing Minecraft or whatever, and that game might be okay. But first of all, a lot of work networks are monitored. Like, so a lot of our credit union customers have, you know, programs that monitor staff's internet usage, first of all. So it wouldn't look very professional. Secondly, they could pick up anything on the internet. You know, they're not conscious of security, and you could have personal information, you know, on there. So that's quite important. You don't want to be giving your company a virus because your kid was playing Candy Crush, you know? So don't use work devices for streaming movies and things like that. Again, you know, you can get really inexpensive equipment, personal equipment, that you can use yourself for these purposes. And again, maybe not surfing Facebook or personal email on work devices. And the main reason for that is because I don't know, but like my IQ drops about 50% when I'm on Facebook, okay? And I'm more likely to click on a funny article or a funny video that my friends have sent. And I'm just sort of not in the security conscious mode. So I don't use that stuff on my work computer because I know that I could compromise the organization. Same with personal email. You know, you might be getting advertisements from various companies you like to buy from, like Groupon or Living Social or spa deals or golf deals or rugby tickets. And unfortunately, if the local golf club gets a virus and you click on the email, now your organization is compromised. And that wasn't, you know, it's different than getting, you know, an email from a supplier that you have to work with for your organization to function. So I just recommend trying to keep that stuff on personal devices, trying to make a small distinction between your office and your family. You know, Mike, our head of business solutions, you saw him on the last webinar. He actually wears his ID around the house when he's working so that his family knows he's in work mode. So that's kind of cute. So that's an idea as well. And then the last thing I would say is, you know, continuous awareness. So one product that we use here is KnowBe4. I actually send this out to our customers and to our staff here. I've actually sent, these are all fake phishing emails that I've sent to my colleagues, which might sound a bit mean, but you know what? They press this fish alert button and they're really like learning, and our customers as well, you know, are learning that you shouldn't click on this stuff, and some of it's a little bit better disguised than you think it might be, you know? So continuous awareness of training in terms of videos, awareness on passwords, different threats that are out there, best practices, networking, things like that can all be achieved through this kind of videos, games, and phishing email option. On a personal level, you know, one way to achieve continuous awareness is to sign up to alerts from fraudsmart.ie. FraudSmart is a great website, and you can actually get alerts on the latest fraud scams that are out there. And this is something that definitely I think you should look at, especially for vulnerable people in your community. You know, can you share this information with them so that they are aware before they get that phone call from someone trying to empty their credit union account, you know, that this could be a potential scam, and that they know what to look out for, and you know what questions not to answer. So this website goes through kind of text, call, email fraud that's affecting Ireland, and you can actually sign up for alerts, and they go through business and personal fraud. So I think that's really, really helpful. So I know that was a lot of information, guys. It's now time for our Q&A. So I'm just going